Om Gam Ganapataye Namaha. 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 There is an element sometimes of like an antagonistic element that comes with the practice. Sometimes as teachers, we have to push people's buttons or challenge students. And at that point, the relationship starts getting in the way. So we did go through a little bit of a teacher-student separation, which I think was very healthy for us as a couple.
That's a good way to say that.
It happened around the time I went to Mysore for the first time, and it became clear that I just needed a teacher who could just be my teacher. And I've been very blessed that when the time came for that, the perfect teachers showed up in my life.
It's a dance. It's a constant dance. I think we're actually working through a lot of that now, you know, because in the beginning I was always sort of very aware that there were limits on what I could do as a teacher, but I certainly stood in the role of, you know, being the authority on Ashtanga yoga. And so as he sort of, you know, deepened his practice, he's now, you know, sort of done the pilgrimage to Mysore a couple of times, and he's, you know, begun teaching. And so it's, you know, like I have to sort of let go of, you know, sort of that role and find space for him to develop his own voice and his own path. And it can be, you know, challenging for me. I'm always having to check myself. And I think one of the conversations that we have all the time is, you know, because we are in very different places with the practice, how do we each add value to the conversation that we have around yoga? So, you know, I wouldn't say that my experience is more valid just because it's longer. It just means that I've got a different viewpoint than he has. And there's many things that I see, you know, about his practice and where he's at in yoga that you know, are really invigorating to me. Or sometimes, you know, we've been doing this for a very long time, and when I look at sort of where he's at with this like incredible enthusiasm and exuberance and, you know, that kind of stuff, it's like, it's very exciting. You know, it's very exciting to be around. And
it's more about, we just have to always remember we are a married couple first and foremost, and I think the teaching a lot of time comes more from keeping each other inspired. I don't know, it's interesting now because in India, at least my experience has been that it's culturally acceptable for men to hold hands. Right. So on occasions we have held hands. Like I've never had any kind of homophobic encounter with the Ashtanga community or in the Mysore community either.
I'm certainly aware that there's a certain taboo against homosexuality in India. So, and I have found that most of the, you know, certainly in the Western community, it's not an issue. Men can be affectionate there, but I've had some awkward experiences. By and large, there's sort of an attitude that homosexuality doesn't exist in India. That's how many of the local Indians that I talk to about it, you know, seem to feel. It doesn't exist, and it's a Western thing. And so I've sort of had, you know, people make comments that were homophobic, but when I say that I'm a gay man, and I typically do, they've been, you know, very more than tolerant, almost, you know, accepting of it, but in a sense that this is something from my own culture, you know. And it's also been interesting because I have met gay Indian men, but it's just a very, very closeted community. So kind of being a little bit aware of some of the culture prescriptions around it. I think that when Juan Carlos and I are there as a couple, I'm a little careful, you know, and I am very aware, you know, like it's not just that we are holding hands in public, but you know, in India, people tend to, you know, be very aware of each other's business. Yeah, people are tolerant and people are accepting, but they just make you aware of your difference, of your differentness, you know, so I'm oftentimes aware that I'm a gay man, more aware that I'm a gay man when I'm there, because I feel like, you know, I know it's not acceptable.